Hey everyone, welcome to my Pelvic Power Hour. This is Isa Herrera. Real answers to real questions posted by real people, and there is no jiving on this show. Now, I got a really interesting question from Karen from New Jersey that I'm going to be answering, and it's all about pelvic pain and creating balance in the pelvic floor. And what I'm going to be teaching you today are three magnificent stretches that really create balance in the pelvic floor, and they're part of my press yoga online program. So if you're interested in learning more about press yoga, type in the word yoga in the comments, and I'll make sure that you get the information for that. Okay, so let's go right into the question because we have a lot to go over. Thank you for watching on the replay. Also, if you're watching on the replay, this is pretty extraordinary. I'm super excited to be here today. It's the snow has stopped in New York City, thank God. So here's the question. This is from Karen P. in New Jersey, so she's local to me. I'm 47 years old, and my pelvis, hips, and low back always hurt. I haven't been able to be comfortable for a long time due to my pelvic pain. Even my bladder is being affected, and when I move positions or sneeze, I leak. I've been going to the gym, doing everything that my PT is telling me to do, and it is not working. Okay. Are there any exercises that can help me with my pelvic pain, leaking, and low back pain? So it's a combination of things that she's having. And what I want to tell you, Karen, is that yes, there are things that you can do to create more balance in the pelvic floor muscles. And today I'm going to give you three exercises. I have some pictures. I'm really going to go into some great details. So if you can't watch the whole thing now, hit the share button, and then the video goes to your timeline, and then you can watch it later. So don't worry if you can't watch it right now. Okay. So the exercises that I'm going to be going over is prayer squat, goddess pose, and child's pose. Now, this happened to me. That's why I picked this story. This exact same thing happened to me. I was going to the gym. I was doing my squats. I was doing my planks. I was doing my lunges. I was working on the row machine. I thought I was doing everything right. Yeah, in the beginning of my journey, I was still symptomatic. I was still having pain. I was still leaking. I still had pressure, and I could not understand for the life of me, and I was a PT, what was going on. And it wasn't until I said, maybe those exercises are a little bit too advanced, or maybe they're creating too much tension in my pelvis. In those days, I didn't know that I had this Kegel tension syndrome, which is what I call it now, which is when you're doing too many Kegels, or you have a lot of tone or a lot of spasm or even scar tissue in the pelvic floor. Now, so many of us have lost our ability to relax and to let go. Now, the only way that you can reach pelvic nirvana, have extreme pelvic power, reclaim your pelvic power, is if you first have balance, suppleness, and flexibility in the pelvic floor. But that escapes many of us, right? Because we're thinking, no, we're going to create more tension, we're going to create more exercises, and then that's going to create the strength that I need. But in many cases, especially women with endometriosis, scar tissue, birth trauma, endometriosis, you name it, tailbone falls, low back pain, women who suffer from menstrual cramps, doing Kegels is not going to work. You have to first create the suppleness, right? And how do you do that? Through yoga. And one of the ways that I healed myself with my pelvic pain was to incorporate yoga into my daily routine. Now, in the beginning, I wasn't like a yogi. I didn't know too much about yoga, but I did study with some yogis, and I did go to many different types of practitioners and learn which exercises really work for pelvic pain, low back pain, and create this suppleness. So then we have power. And what I did, because I'm a true scientist at heart, was that I think over 5,000 women, I put them on biofeedback okay, which is like a technology that allows you the kind of biofeedback that I have. It allows you to look at the pelvic floor and see what's going on. And every time we did these exercises that I'm about to show you, the pelvic floor became more supple, more open, and more flexible. And then I was able to have the individual build up and get more strength. Okay, so now let's get started. I'm looking at my notes too. The first one that I want to talk about that I think is really super important that most women should be doing is this particular pose right here. So this is prayer squat. And one of the reasons why I like this yoga pose is because of the way it opens up the pelvic muscles, okay? Right in here, the way it opens up the pelvic muscles, the way it opens up the back of the legs. This is a great stretch for women who are pregnant also. And this is a great stretch for women who have low back pain and have pelvic pain and are looking to reclaim their pelvic power. It is a difficult pose. I make it look easy here. So if you have some difficulty getting into this pose, I recommend that you support your entire back against the wall and put a couple of pillows underneath your booty so you're sitting into the prayer squat. So this prayer squat saved my life, and it saved the life of many of my patients because it was able to create this flexibility that they needed in order to rid themselves of their pelvic pain and to rid themselves of scar tissue, in a way that's using exercise as the vehicle. So this is one of my go-tos, and I have tons of pictures of this, okay? This prayer squat is part of my press yoga. So if you're interested in learning more about my program, just hit me with the word yoga in the comments, and I'll make sure that you get that link through Facebook Messenger. Oh, wow. I see a lot of likes. Awesome. So this is a topic that people are really digging. Very good. Now, this next pose, this is my go-to pose. I still do this every day. And this, if you can take that thing, there we go. This is goddess pose. And there we go. Trying to make sure that you can see it. And I'm laying down, and I'm in a goddess position. I call this goddess pose. And why this pose is really amazing, because it really opens up the inner thighs, which is intimately connected to the pelvic floor muscles, and also opens up the hip area. And remember that when you're doing these yoga poses, you want to be doing deep diaphragmatic breathing, because the goal is to create flexibility in the pelvic floor. Okay, so to do diaphragmatic breathing, I have in this pose my hands on my belly, and I'm breathing in and allowing the air to expand my belly. And as I exhale, my belly flattens. So this is pretty amazing, because in the beginning, when I started doing this pose, and many of my patients need to have a pillow under each knee, because sometimes this pose, if you don't have the flexibility, and when I first started, it's a little hard and difficult. So how long do they hold the pose for? Okay, this is a great question. Thank you for answering. This, depending on your flexibility, anywhere between 10 seconds, which is the lowest amount you want to hold, till about a minute. If you can hold for a minute and do the deep diaphragmatic breathing, you're going to get changes in the muscles to create more flexibility in the most important muscles in the female body, which is right here, the pelvic floor muscles, okay? And this goddess pose, I love to do this for meditation too. And when I'm feeling stressed out, and what I discovered with my patients was that once I got them in this simple yoga routine, which is called press yoga, I developed that program, then they were able to do Kegels better, have better coordination, and then have more power. And then that helped limit their leaking, but that also helped diminish their pain. So this woman, Karen, who asked this question, she's got everything: leaking, low back pain, and she also has pelvic pain. So when you have a combination of things, you have to go to a medicine that's been with us for thousands of years. Yoga has been with us for thousands of years. So I started using yoga with all my patients, and they were getting extraordinary results. So here's the pose again. And remember that if this pose is too difficult, you place one pillow under each knee to make things a little easier, and you can hold each pose from 10 seconds up to 1 minute. Of course, sometimes I hold the goddess pose up to 5 minutes because I'm really trying to open up and create more power in my pelvis. So those are the two poses that I absolutely love. And I think that incorporating yoga for pelvic health into your program is going to bring you to the finish line so much faster than just doing traditional exercises in the gym like squats, planks, lunges, which, by the way, they work, but this works in a more dynamic and balanced way. The last one that I absolutely love that I think, and by the way, if you're doing these poses, it's backwards. Make sure that you're checking with your physician, okay? Make sure that you're checking with everybody. Make sure these are appropriate for you. And listen to your body, okay? If there's pain, really listen, modify the pose if there's pain. But I picked these three because they're basically safe for everyone, and they give you the most benefit for flexibility, balance, and coordination. So I said, what three poses can I give everybody that are so fantastic? If you want to learn more about my yoga program, put in the word yoga in the comments and I'll send you a link. The link will also be in the I don't know what you call that thing, in the comments too. So now I want to go into this yoga pose because this is the one that helps with the low back pain, because Cameron said she had a lot of low back pain in the question. And this is called child's pose. I'm going to go like this. And this is called child's pose. How about if I do it like this? And this is called child's pose. And this stretch is amazing for opening up the low back, right here, and the back in its entirety. But what's really fantastic about this stretch is when you're doing the deep diaphragmatic breathing, you send your breath right into the sit bones and into the pelvic floor, and it creates more of a dynamic opening in the pelvic floor muscle. So this is fantastic. You don't need a ball at all to do this pose. I just use the ball because I have another program that I created with the ball for a workout. So this child's pose is fantastic. And when it comes to reducing stress, anxiety, when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling like everything's making me crazy, I go right into this pose and I'll put my head on the floor and get my third eye on the floor, and it gives me a deep sense of relaxation, not only for my pelvic floor, but also for my mind, also for my mood. So it works on multiple levels. So again, I went over the prayer pose, I went over goddess pose, and I also went over child's pose. And these are my go-to poses that when I get the women in my center in New York City, I put them on biofeedback, and these are the poses that create the most flexibility in the pelvic floor. If you have a flexible muscle, a supple muscle, then you're going to have more power, and everybody wants the power, right? Everybody wants to stop leaking, less pressure. They want to have less incontinence. So in the beginning, because there's so much tension and because we're so disconnected from our pelvic floors, and because so many of us are holding like this all the time and or doing too many Kegels, we have to create that balance and that flexibility first. Okay, I have a question here. Okay, I have to go really close. I have a hip replacement, so I'm not allowed to do the prayer squat. I can do goddess. Don't think I can do the deep child's pose, but maybe one that's not so deep. Yeah, so let's go. Thank you for asking that question. A lot of women that I treat do have hip replacements and knee replacement. What you can do here, I have it backwards again, Donna, is put a pillow underneath your buttocks, and then you won't go so deep into the stretch. And if you do have a hip replacement, make sure that you're following your hip replacement precautions. All right. So pass these poses by your surgeon and make sure that they're within your precautions so that you're not hurting your hip. But if you do have a hip replacement, these stretches will also help you to stretch the scar tissue. So I think it's very important to create balance that way. And in my press yoga, there's 7 different types of exercises, okay? Some of them are very advanced and some of them are on the simpler side. So it really depends on what your precautions are. This is from Patricia. What biofeedback program do you use? How does it work? I use something called Synergy. Yeah, what is it? MR20. Thank you. I have my team here, MR20. And this is how it works. I either do an internal sensor where I put a sensor inside the pelvic floor or into to the anus. And then I have a computerized picture that tells me exactly what the pelvic floor muscles are doing. But if a woman or a man can't tolerate any internal sensors, then I use external electrodes on the perianal area. But what I love about my program is that I'm able to see what the muscles are doing and how much they're contracting, how long they're holding the pelvic floor. There are many other different types of biofeedback programs out there. They're not as high-techy as the one that I have. I mean, mine is ridiculous. That you can investigate. They show you numbers. And sometimes they have a mid number, and anything above that is to contract, and anything below that number is to relax and open up. So if you want to use biofeedback while you do yoga, I totally recommend it because I think it would be amazing. I also recommend using a yoni egg. It's not intravaginally, so you can see and connect more to what the pelvic floor muscles are doing, especially if you purchase my Press Yoga program, because I think it's pretty phenomenal. So I hope that answers your question, Patricia. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you for the love. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And if there's more topics like this that you guys want me to cover, don't hesitate to put it underneath this video, because I'm always looking for different topics to cover. I usually just go with the questions that I receive on a weekly basis. Again, thank you for watching on the replay. If you're watching the replay, we're talking about yoga for pelvic health. We're talking about 3 particular stretches on how to really open up the pelvic floor using yoga, which is a medicine that's been around for thousands of years. And who am I to say that, I love it so much, especially in the beginning when so many of my clients now are doing so much. And I don't want to mention the workouts, but workouts that are really physical and hard, and their pelvic floor muscles are just not supple or coordinated enough for that workout. And sometimes I have to bring them a step back, and the way I do that is by incorporating yoga into for the pelvic floor. Oh, Donna, thank you. Thank you for the love. I really appreciate it. You're fascinating. Oh, thank you. I'm fascinating. I love it. But I wanted to really go into the yoga today because so many women come to me and their workouts at the gym are not working. Their CrossFits are not working. The stretch, lengthen, and tone is not working. The bar, okay, I'm going to mention it. Because sometimes I feel the coordination and the flexibility in the pelvic floor it's not there. And so you're trying to contract and create power where there isn't any power. And yoga is the vehicle by which to create this flexibility, suppleness, and coordination. Okay, I hope you found this enjoyable. I really appreciate it. Could you show a demonstration of the biofeedback sometime? Yeah, I can definitely do that. I would need a volunteer. Absolutely. The demonstration of biofeedback would be great. I talk about that a lot in my online program, my Female Pelvic Alchemy program, which is a pelvic health program for women who are leaking, have prolapse, and or suffering from intimacy pain. So yeah, I can definitely do a biofeedback. I may even be able to use myself. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Again, if you want information about my yoga program, please put the word yoga in the comments, or simply click on the link and we'll get that to you. Thank you so much for tuning into my Pelvic Power Hour show. I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy bringing the information out there. Hit me with a comment. Oh, wow. I see a lot of likes. Awesome. And listen, if you can't listen to this right now, definitely just hit the share button and it goes into your timeline, and then you can save it for later. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back next Friday, typically at 3 o'clock. So join me then, and I will see everyone. Oh, wait, there's another question. Can you, this is from Jerry. Can you recommend a vaginal cream? What do you need the vaginal cream to restore the tissues? Jerry, if it's to restore the tissues, I have a beautiful vaginal cream that I call the Down There oil, which is rose and coconut oil, and it's pretty fantastic for restoring the tissues. If you PN me, I'll send you the link for that so you can check it out. So that's one of the creams that I absolutely like for restoring vaginal health. And I'm just laying it out there the way it is, because it's called the Down There oil, and it's actually pretty fantastic. And it's helped so many women restore tissues and get the tissues to heal. Okay, and it's very natural. It's all organic. Okay, perfect. Peggy says yes. I think she's saying yes to something. Peggy, let me know what you're saying. Yes, or do you mean to say yoga? Oh wow, I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm going to be doing yoga. It's definitely to control the stress over Thanksgiving. Um, anyway, I want to thank everyone. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for being on my Pelvic Hour show. This is a show that is here for women to help them learn to heal themselves from pelvic floor dysfunction, leaking, intimacy pain, pelvic pain, and or prolapse. Again, this is Isa Herrera. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate all the love that you send my way and all the likes. Take care of yourself.